We are live. Hopefully. Hey, everybody. Welcome. All right. So looks like we are live on Instagram and I see hearts. It's a New Year's miracle because it has not worked in a month. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, I would highly recommend getting off and going over to YouTube at Ask Ivy or TikTok. TikTok, you guys working, functioning there? Can you hear and see me? TikTok always works. YouTube, okay, always works. Facebook and Instagram is really hit or miss. So if it looks like on Instagram I haven't been showing up for lives, that's not at all the case. They just haven't been recording. They haven't been publishing, but they always publish on my YouTube at Ask Ivy. And lately, Facebook has been working fairly well. So you could also go to Ivy Rivera Psychic Medium or Ivy Angela Rivera on Facebook. I am seeing some Facebook problems. Jill, my beautiful producer, is going to be handling all the production today. Jill, are we okay on Facebook?
And we are not live on Facebook right now. We've got YouTube up. Something's going on with Facebook. I'm looking into it.
Yeah, we've got Facebook drama, so we're just going to have to wait on that. How's everyone doing on TikTok? Good to see you guys. This is our annual What to Expect in show. So this is what to expect in 2024. Today, we're going to be breaking down each zodiac sign as we always do, but we're doing something new this year. So Christina and I will be taking your questions. And these are just $10 questions. You can go ahead and post whatever your question is about your year in 2024. And each of us will be delivering a message to you. You could do that through PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, we're not allowed to post that information up at the top. So Jill, my producer, is going to be posting it and reposting it and posting it in the comments section. Okay. And she'll try to pin that the best she can, but the pins don't last long. So you can get that information there, or you could switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy and it's up on the screen. Okay, if you're on YouTube, you can also pay and submit your question on YouTube. Wherever you guys make the payment, make sure you submit your question there. All right, and if your name does not match, if your social media name doesn't match your payment name, and you forgot to submit your question, so you're putting it in the comment section, explain your payment name. All right. Or else my producer won't know where that money came from or who the question belongs to. So your payment name must match your social media name. Okay. But the best way to do this is to make your payment and submit your question right there. It'll come up as we go along. All right. Are we good on Facebook yet, Jill? Or are we still waiting? I think we're still waiting. So, couple quick announcements we can make in the meantime. If you guys have been debating as to whether or not you want to join my psychic mediumship course, you want to become a certified reader here at the Ivy League Psychic Academy, if you've been debating on taking Christina Del Rey's Art of Tarot training, or her astrology class, as well as Reiki or reverendship and ordination training here through Roots Revival Interfaith, everything is on sale. Not all the classes, but all the courses. So we've got Reiki, we've got the Art of Tarot, astrology, psychic mediumship course, and reverendship training. All right, so the sale ends on New Year's. It's 10% off. There's a discount code up on my website and it's all over my social media. Oh, good. Did Jill just pop that up? No, the code is not there, but it's basically posted everywhere. So you guys could take advantage of that right now. It's a huge deal. Okay. We also have the reverendship training and ordination available now through video download. So if you missed the training in November, you can catch that on your own time. Psychic Mediumship course is evergreen, so you guys can join at any time. And what else do we have going on? We also have coming up in April, registration just opened for spiritual life coaching. So if you guys want to get certified here through Roots Revival, Interfaith, and Spiritual Life Coaching, it's sort of a nice middle ground between giving readings and doing something like Reiki. All right. So if readings are too much and Reiki is not enough, this may be exactly where you belong. So check it out. It's a 6-week course. You do get certified. And then anything you get certified in through Ivy League Psychic Academy or Roots Revival Interfaith allows you to join us for lifelong work opportunities. And yes, it looks like 3/21. Okay. So March 21st, that's when the course starts. And then it ends April 25th. So spiritual life coaching. For all of this, you can go to ivyriverapsychicmedium.com to get yourself registered or to take advantage of the sale, to also book a reading with me. And Christina, where can they go if they want to book a chart with you?
I believe it's up, and my email is up. It's a Gmail. It's CPIEKARSKI88.
Or you can find her at Astrology Chick
on YouTube. Oh, and Astrology Chick 2 on Instagram, and yes, and Astrology and Tarot Simplified on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. Let's just wait till we get the heads up from Jill that we're clear.
I'm still working on Facebook. I don't know what's going on.
You're still working on Facebook? Do we need to like shut down and start over, or just say forget Facebook?
Right now it says that we're having an issue where we've only shared it with a small amount of people. So I'm seeing if I can go in and edit that. We didn't share it with a small amount of people, but I'm going to see what I can do.
Does it appear to possibly be connected to Instagram somehow? Because Instagram is finally working for the first time in a month. Maybe Zuckerberg just didn't inform us of how these changes work.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see the two Facebook accounts on the top, but they're just not connecting.
If someone on Instagram could please comment, if you're actually watching from Facebook, could you let my producer Jill here know? Are you actually on Facebook right now? You're getting thumbs up. He did something. I don't know. So he fixed it, but he didn't tell anybody he fixed it, and it's all different. And right, it looks like that's what's happening. This is actually Facebook is now somehow connected to Instagram.
Okay. Yeah, I can see you on Instagram. So as long as they can see it, I'll just manually go to Facebook and look for the comments.
You poor thing. All right.
Thank
you, Jill.
We're good.
We love you, Jill. We appreciate her. Okay. It's going to be a lot of work. So you guys submit your questions accurately. Don't cause any more headache for her tonight. Also, anyone watching this, it is going to be published. Okay. Again, on my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy after, but it will take about 24 hours. So welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Happy holidays. I am here with Christina Del Rey, our astrologer. How are you, Christina?
Great. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And this is our What to Expect in 2024 show. I'm Ivy Rivera. I'm a psychic medium, a Taino Arawak, and we are going to be breaking down for you each zodiac sign for 2024. Before we get into it, we're going to go over the broader sort of spectrum here, the collective energy. And I'll go first. Christina will go after me. Christina and I, if you've been following us, we've been doing the show all pushing a decade now. We never converse about what we're going to say beforehand. I am a psychic medium. She is an astrologer. So she's listening to the planets and I'm listening to whatever spirit or the universe shows me. Okay. However, it does tend to always match up. So we just don't know what's going to come out. I want to start with the collective. So I know I've been a Debbie Downer the last few years, and you guys have not appreciated me much, especially in regards to the financial collective, and especially in regard to America. However, I wasn't wrong. So when I kept saying money does not look good, I meant money does not look good. And I know a lot of you were frustrated that I kept saying that, and you kept asking me questions about COVID. Well, you said COVID was going to sort of wrap up. So then why is money still bad? Like I told you, I didn't say it had anything to do with COVID. That is a completely separate problem. So if you look at what's been happening the last year, we've seen total deterioration, okay, of our financial systems. And we, from late stage capitalism, homelessness increasing, inflation, you name it. I don't have to go through it. You've been there. We're all suffering collectively. And it has not been good, okay? So as I predicted, though, no one wanted to hear it in recent years. But what did I say? 2024 is our breakthrough year. Finally, thank God. Okay. In 2024, we start going back up again. So my prediction still stands, and I've checked it carefully. I am not getting any major red flags here with the financials. So I do think that we're going to see improvements pretty much across the board. As far as resources are concerned. Now, we have another area I want to touch on, and that is the collective international revolution. So since 2019, like I've been telling you guys, whether you call it end times, or you want to say it's the apocalypse, or you want to say it's World War III, or you want to say it's in the Bible, it's Revelations, it's all the same thing. Okay. I speak a lot on the Hopi prophecy, for example, the more native indigenous belief that we are in a revolution. What does a revolution look like? It can look very much like the end times in a lot of ways. And so what I've been saying since 2019 is that first we are going to go through a major exposure in regards to our African American, our Black communities. Then we're going to be seeing this again, especially in America, with the LGBTQ communities. It's been playing out exactly like that. Okay, from Floyd to LGBTQ rights. Then, with what did I say the last stage is going to be? Okay, Indigenous and women. And that's what we're seeing right now, especially with Palestine. So I do believe, crazy as that may sound, right? Most people don't believe in my prophecies when I say them. I do believe this is the second coming of Christ through the people of Palestine, not as one individual. I do believe this is the peak point of the revolution, Indigenous people and the women. Now, that is not to say that we're not going to see continuous battles going on with minorities, with the LGBTQ community, with those who are marginalized. We're going to see that continue. It's not over, obviously, but we have now entered into the last phase, which will feel for many of us like the beginning of the true revolution, and like we're really starting to get our hands dirty. It is not going to be a comfortable period of time, and I think we have to be very realistic about what we're getting into. Many of you would have predicted this back around 9/11. If you started having your prophecies about the future around 9/11, this is direct. There's a direct correlation between a lot of those visions, especially the apocalyptic type dreams and the concepts of World War III. Again, we're going to be taking questions at the end. So if you guys have questions or comments, go ahead and post them. We'll be getting to everybody. But those are the two things I thought were most important to discuss for the general community and collective going forward. We're peaking. And as far as finances go, we are finally, thank God, sort of increasing. Okay, there with that. So we have to pull our acts together. And this is also, before I turn over the collective message to Christina here, what does that mean? That, you know, we're seeing the return of Christ energy, that we are in this sort of end times. What does this mean with this peak in the revolution? Well, it means, let's go back to what I've been saying the past, 5-6 years. Let's look back at the Hopi prophecy. I think that's the easiest way for us to comprehend what's going on. And that says that those who have chosen repeatedly to feed the darkness, those who have chosen a low-level toxic energy, those who have detached from spirit are going to go mentally ill, and they're going to fall off. All right. So the people who are feeding the light will be uplifted, and those that are feeding the dark are going to be wiped out. We've seen it. Okay, increasing every year, especially since 2019. Expect more of it. Christina, what do you see for the collective?
A couple things. When you talk about the the revolution, I really think that much of that is, Pluto's ingress to Aquarius. We did see a little bit of it last year, but we're going to revisit Pluto in Aquarius. And that's going to be, major for everybody. And everybody's going to have that new, everyone's going to have that new spot in their chart, revolutionize and transform. But for the collective, it's really going to have to do with, like you said, the last part, the women and the indigenous. I really think that, the women's revolution is continuing. We have to dig into the ugly that, how we deal with humanity, the ugly in humanity, the ugly in how we treat minority groups. More of that's going to come out. We are going to see huge shifts in technology. We're going to continue to see robots, AI continuing. This might be very scary for some, but I think ultimately it'll be a good thing. It'll just be, shifting. And this is, don't forget, because we have Pluto and Aquarius. It's going to dip back into Capricorn one more time this year, but then it's going to go straight forward into, into Aquarius. And then we're going to see all these technological changes. And if you're on TikTok or you've been seeing these things that are coming out, we have Optimus coming out. We have, we just have all this technology stuff that's just going to break forward. The eclipses this year, mostly in Libra and Aries again. So we have, we have March, September, April, and October. And they're really going to be more about the collective doing, we really have to start doing things more for ourselves than together. And I know that sounds kind of opposite of what the revolution is, but we have to recognize our own power in order for our powers to come together.
Yes.
So it's almost like it's like we have to move away from unhealthy ways we relate, whether that be, to people who are different from you or a group, like it's the way that we're relating. We have to each recognize our own power in order to come together collectively. And we have to do that in new ways. So that is really, everybody will feel that on some level. Mercury retrograde, we always do talk about that. That's going to be in the fire signs mostly this year. So we're talking about actions, reviewing your actions, your passions, Mercury retrograde tends to be a frustrating time, but your action on communications, that is what you're going to be looking at this year during the Mercury retrogrades. There is no Venus retrograde, thank goodness. And at the very end of the year, Mars is going to retrograde in Leo and Cancer, which that's not until December, way late. But the one positive thing that I did want to touch on that Pastor Ivy talked about was, the economy actually looking a bit better this year. And I think that is going to be when Jupiter and Uranus connect in April. And we also have an eclipse in April too. It's a big astrology month, April, so just keep your eyes out. But so Jupiter and Uranus, they will reconnect every like 15 years, but not in the same sign. So this combination has not come together since the end of the Great Depression. Now, the two planets, Uranus and Jupiter, when they come together, they are a wealth combination normally. So this is like something you'd like to see in a birth chart, because, that person has potential to have some money-making abilities there. It's just considered a really good conjunction to have, a really good aspect to have. So I think that we're going to see, some shifts in wage earnings from men to women, a little bit more, maybe things getting a little bit better. I think it's going to be, there'll be lucrative. Oh, and you know what? It's, in the past too, like we saw, so when this happened, we saw like inventions like the plane when this happened. So it's kind of going along with everything else too, with the boom in technology that we are coming upon. And then Uranus, Jupiter, probably I'm going to say, it's going to help the stock markets and all that. This is going to be, if you are a Taurus, it's happening in Taurus, and Taurus is money. So, hopefully we will see really like good for all. It's going to be somewhat stressful for some signs, but I think overall it's going to be good.
Amen. Okay. Good. So Jill, if you want to pop that Q&A information so people know how to purchase, if you want to pop that up to the top, because now we are going to need the zodiac signs down at the bottom as we go along. So we've got to move that. Christina, I just want to make sure I've got my zodiac signs in order. I've been doing this since I was like 13 and I still don't think I know. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo.
Yes.
Libra.
Yep.
Scorpio.
Yep.
Sag.
Yes.
Capricorn.
Yep.
Pisces.
Aquarius, then Pisces.
What? Yeah, no, I knew that.
Pisces always ends it.
Okay. Aquarius, then Pisces. Okay. So if everyone could please at this time give this video a thumbs up, drop any type of a comment. It helps us out in the algorithm. Please do subscribe. And if you're here on my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy and you want to become a member for all types of exclusive offers, hit that join button to look at the different tiers. Christina, are you ready? We're going to break them down.
Go for it.
All right. So I wing it, and Christina and I don't talk about this ahead of time. Okay. So we just don't know where it's going to go. Let's go ahead and get started with Aries. What am I feeling for Aries in 2024? So the first thing that I'm feeling is like you may come into the year with a lot of, I'm hearing like exuberance. There may be a lot of energy that you're putting out, especially in your speech, your leadership, your power. This type of communication out with others could create a lot of movement and prosperity the first quarter, and then sort of have an oppositional effect in between the third and the fourth month of the year. So going into the second quarter, we're going to want to make sure we kind of pull back. I don't know if I want to say pull back as much as I want to say just lower it. Okay. Calm down, chill out, take some of that in your face Aries energy and like just be a little bit more detached or subtle about things. There's a time to push and there's a time to sort of pull. And the pulling that should be going on for the last 3 quarters of the year, but especially the 2 middle quarters, is going to have to do with manifestation. It has to do with law of attraction. It has to do with being in the flow and being in harmony. And so really just allowing things to come to you that you've already been investing in. Relationships may also really increase for you the third quarter of the year in regards to family, intimate relationships, but especially romance. So if you're looking to get married, if you're looking at family expansion, if you're looking at sort of creating a family, but in the sense of like, we are going to build together, me and this other person, I think that's going to be a great time to do that. And there's a lot of openness, love, and willingness there. I also feel like the last quarter of the year is going to bring a lot of mobility for you. So if you're sort of debating as to whether or not throughout the year you should be investing in something brand new or taking a trip or, maybe buying a second property or a third property, changing up residency, this may be a good time to wait. And at the end of the year, we have an open space for all of that to happen without chaos and tension and too much negotiation. So be mindful that if you feel hesitancy, it could be a wait answer, not a no answer. Christina?
Yeah, so for Aries, I'm looking at the nodes, because we do have the eclipses in Aries and Libra this year. So the majority of them anyway. And so that is a big year for Aries. I do think that, looking at their chart, I do see a you versus me focus. So I do see like a relationship focus where, where are we going to build our own greatness in relation to somebody else, and how are we sharing that with someone? So I do feel like Aries, if you're not in the right relationship for you, like, that's going to become very, very obvious and going to have to end, and and new beginnings are going to be needed. But I do feel like that it is prosperous once you come out of your eclipse cycle for another 18, for another 8 years. But I do feel like this is going to be the good beginnings, good start on projects, anything that you want to accomplish. Pluto is going to move into your 11th house, which is going to really change up your social groups and your gains, your income gains. So if you are an Aries who has recently started a business, or like if you have businesses, like there's going to be a switch up of some of the maybe the groups that you're working with, or your income, and that could be that could be a dramatic shift where you're kind of getting rid of the superfluous. You're just trying to get to, like, focus on what is important, which groups are important to you. Mercury retrogrades for you guys in the 1st house, the 5th house, and the 9th house. So your philosophies on life, romance, children that you have. There might be a lot of Aries out there thinking about having children. So this might be one of your focuses. And how you're coming across to other people too. Oh, and one last thing I forgot to mention in the collective was that Jupiter will be going into actually Gemini, which is great for Geminis this year. So, but it's going to shift this wealth combination in April that we were talking about. This Jupiter Uranus is actually going to be quite fruitful for Aries. So again, if you own your own business, major shifts, make sure that when you are because this is going into how you make a living. So when you are dealing with how you're making your living, whether that be your business or whatever you're doing, focus on that. And like I said, any of the groups you're dealing with that don't quite belong, they got to fall away. Then Jupiter is going to move into your 3rd house, and that's really going to kick up a lot of social media presence, a lot of information dissemination. So there's going to be a lot because it's Jupiter. So you're going to have to kind of sift through all that and focus just on the people mainly that are important with your business, and how you're going to continue that wealth making.
Okay, beautiful. Jill, if you could pop up at the top of the screen here on YouTube how people can submit for their $10, like where they can submit their question up at the top of the screen where we normally have it. I don't know where it went this week. All right, wonderful. So that's Aries. All right, we're about to move into Taurus. Drop a comment. I want to know your sun, moon, rising, if you guys know it. Let's see where you guys are. All right, Christina, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go into Taurus. So Taurus 2024, what do I see happening for you? You may feel as though you're starting with some reversals, and it may not match what you're seeing. So it may look like circumstances in your life are very much going forward, especially in regards to resources, work, education, career, relationships, but you can almost feel dichotomy happening here, a bit of a, not necessarily discord unless you want to make it that way, but it's almost like we have to revisit the past. So the first 2 quarters of the year may be in a lot of ways mental, emotional, spiritual, where you have to go back and look at your past, and the universe is going to be saying to you, what is unfinished? So we're talking about skeletons in the closet, unfinished business, stuff swept under the carpet, things put up on a shelf collecting dust. What has not been completed? This is going to go from anything from exes and old relationships where conversations haven't been had. They could be resurrecting, or you could be dealing with it like in another dimension, like in your sleep, in your dreams, working out some karma with these people. This could be unfinished education or anything with your work where it's like, I need to go back to the drawing board. I need to bring this back. This needs to be resurrected or completed. Now, ultimately, we're going to come out in the third quarter with this new movement forward and this sort of backward reevaluation energy. And we're going to be able to marry these two worlds and skyrocket in prosperity if you've done the work. All right. So this isn't like a magic spell. This is if you use your free will. A lot of people want to know, is it destiny charted in the world or is it free will? It's both. So you have these opportunities, take them. Now, I think what happens here really between the middle bit of the year, like the second quarter going into the third, could also be some residency change for quite a few of you. So if you've been dissatisfied in the home with who you live with or where you live, we could find a sort of burst of energy and influence, including financial stability, that pushes you into a new environment. And I do think that between the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, we have a lot of love. We have a lot of growth in your personal relationships and intimacy happening there. And possibly for those of you looking to have a child, that would be a good time to expand on the family as well, or get married, things like this, new relationships. But that's only for those of you who've let go of the old that are dysfunctional and aren't working. If you do not create room for the new, Tauruses, this year, you cannot have it because you have not gotten rid of the old. So we can't just keep, shoving more newness into your life. It's out with the old, in with the new. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for a new door to open, another door has to close. It's got to go that way. And there's a lot of financial prosperity to be had in the last quarter of the year as well. Not to say the whole year doesn't look good, because it starts off with a bang too, but it's really in that last quarter going into 2025 where you're finding yourself in a power position. You have nice trajectory, and that bank account's looking sweet. Christina?
Oh, I love that. So for Taurus, Pluto is going to go into your 10th house, which is a change in status. It's, your status, your career, whatever, you're known as. So we're going to see some, people who didn't do the work, or, we're going to see some major shifts in, what you're, are you living your purpose? Are you aligned, basically? This is, so Pluto in Aquarius is actually squaring Taurus. So that's going to be, it's going to be like a call to action. Are you putting too much, worth on things that are, things that you shouldn't be worried about, too much on material things. You might have to kind of, look at the meaning more of things. How are the things that you have matching with your social status? Might be looking at some of those things. However, Mercury retrograde this year for Taurus is a 12th house, 8th house, and 4th house. So it's going to be, again, like Ivy said, family, and Mars is going to retrograde there too at the end of the year. So, taking a look at how you're relating, how your status fits in with your family, and also, how you are presenting yourself. But on the other hand, too, we have the Jupiter-Uranus combination. Jupiter is still in Taurus, so there are financial gains expected for Taurus, especially because once Jupiter moves into Gemini, that really is kind of a
Christina, you froze. Maybe it's just my screen.
No, she's frozen.
She's frozen. Okay. Did
Yeah.
you hear me about getting the information up at the top?
Yeah, it's not populating at the top right now,
What
so
the
I'm
heck is
working on that. I
going on
got
here?
us
We're
live on
having, like, so many-
Facebook. Now I'm working on the
All right.
banner.
Facebook graphics. All right. Christina, are you back?
Yeah. Can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yeah, you cut off a second ago. Trying to think of what was the last thing I heard you say.
Well, Mercury retrograde, I think I was talking about. So,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, so I think like, there's going to be a focus on how you're relating to your family and your status. I think there's going to be major changes there, maybe some purging going on. But the Jupiter Uranus, and that's what I was saying too. Jupiter's going to move into Gemini in May, and that's going to be a great income boost for Taurus. Plus, they have that Jupiter Uranus combination in April in their sign. So this is very fortunate energy as far as money goes. So I would take advantage of it. I would take a look at, your ask for that raise, charge more for your services, but money could be really good for Taurus this year.
I love that. All right. Well, that is a complete pairing of our prophecies there. I love that. Okay. Here's a fun one. I have Gemini in like 5 houses. Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus, whatever. Okay. So we're gonna do Gemini, and I'm gonna pull myself out of it. So let's see. Looks like everything is running here. We had some frozen issues, but I think we're good to go. All right. So Christina, are you ready? Let's get into Gemini.
Yes.
Okay. So Gemini, what do I see for Geminis coming up in 2024? It looks very much like the first 3 quarters of the year. It's go, 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 go. There's a lot of pulling back from past karma, meaning that any unresolved issues, last tests that the universe wants to put you through to prove that you're walking things out. Don't forget, the universe doesn't care what you think you know, or you preach about, or you say you understand. The universe just wants to see if you're actually going to walk it out and maintain it. So that's going to be going on probably the first quarter to maybe 2 quarters. In some areas, mostly relationship issues and your relationship to yourself. So think on things like, are you your own biggest fan? How kind are you to yourself? Are you centering yourself? Don't overreach with other people or situations. Tune out what is worthless and needless to you, and who is not of any advantage to you. So we've got those types of lessons going on, but we also have karmically already earned prosperity. So sometimes the universe almost reads as a bank account. They're a parent waiting until you're 18, to give you your money, and now it happens, and especially in the 3rd quarter. So we see this gradually coming out the first 3 quarters of the year, where you're getting that type of payout from all types of different work that you would have done in the past in regards to career, education, networking, and anything you've been doing in publishing. So that's social media, that's communicating outwardly in a bigger way. Even if these things seemed small, they're going to all of a sudden explode. Many of us may be feeling that between the 2nd quarter going into the 3rd quarter in particular. Then we have some, I don't want to say downtime, but there's this whole new life being created. So you may in the 4th quarter of the year be looking back and saying, my life is unrecognizable. In the mundane, in the way I feel about myself. I don't even recognize my life anymore from a short period of time ago. So there is this sense of all of this newness, this new you, this new skin, this new lifestyle, all of it being elevated and on a much higher vibration, again, because you earned it. But it may also bring you back to some of the themes from the beginning of the year where you're asked to do a review. How do you feel about things? What are you thinking about things? What do you want now? What do you need for yourself? Are you well balanced? And so the last quarter is going to be almost like an adjustment period to your new life. You know, I think of a hermit crab who kind of gets out. If you've ever had them, they're really creepy when they crawl out of that shell. They no longer fit in that, and it's like, oh my God, this is not my cute little pet anymore. Okay, there's sort of this ugly phase. It's like a puberty phase, you know, where they have to find their new shell and make sure that it fits, and it may take a couple shells, but that's okay. So don't push yourself. Don't revert back to bad habits you were supposed to let go of in the beginning of the year. We are not hard on ourselves. We are our biggest fans. We center ourselves. We love ourselves. We are balancing. So the beginning is the end, okay? Alpha and Omega, and that will take you in to prosperity all through 2025 and into 2026.
Okay, awesome. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So, so Gemini, Pluto is going to be going into your 9th house. So that is publishing. That can be, you know, philosophies, getting down to what you really believe, like looking at the darkness in, you know, your thought process and your philosophies, in, you know, in education, maybe getting rid of what, you know, doesn't need to be there, just getting to focus on what's important there. With Pluto, you tend to get rid of what's not important. We also have the Mercury retrogrades, and of course Gemini is always more you know, hit by Mercury retrograde because they are ruled by Mercury. So for the Mercury retrogrades this year, you do have it in the 11th house, which does have to do with the networking, the putting yourself out to public. So maybe rethinking that, rethinking how you communicate with the public, how you're doing online things. Also in your relationship zone too, Mercury retrograde. So just kind of like what Pastor Ivy was saying, you know, thinking about how you relate, not just to partners, but also to like business partners or friendships, things like that. So those two houses are being hit for Mercury retrograde, and also the 3rd house too, which has to do with relating with others, thinking about how you're communicating with people around your neighborhood, your siblings, cousins, neighbors. And at the end of the year, there will be a Mars retro there too. So you have to kind of think about your actions in that arena. For the lunar and solar eclipses, it's going to be, there's going to be some old relationship patterns with children and with romantic partners that have to, they have to be done and over with. And there's going to be a focus on more status, you know, your status and how you are seen perhaps, or how, you know, you are respected, and for yourself. And Gemini is really kind of releasing how they related to others in any toxic fashions. Also too, really good news for Gemini is that, you know, they have that Jupiter Uranus combination in their 12th house, which, you know, like some say that's like, you know, having like an extra guardian angel energy or something working behind the scenes for Gemini, you know, kind of like a little spiritual lottery kind of thing. So, you know, you spirit has your back. So if you can connect to spirit, that's going to be the best way that you'll be able to kind of release old patterns, come in with maybe some new switch ups. And then Jupiter is going to go right into Gemini, into your sign in May 25th, I think it enters. So that's really going to kind of blow up, you know, how the public sees you or how you're seen, or, you know, it might give you more recognition as well. So, you know, you definitely want to take advantage of that. All right.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, that totally lines up with what I'm seeing. I love that. All right. My fellow Geminis, looking good, looking good. I'm also Cancer Sun, so I got to pull myself on out of this. But let's go ahead and get into it. So next sign is Cancer. Cancer, Sun, Moon, or Rising. What do I see for you in 2024? I actually see a lot happening in love. So it's very possible that the first quarter of the year someone is entering, or you are seeing someone who has already been there in your life clearly. It's almost like blinders are coming off. And while I do see rose-colored glasses, I don't think they're of the toxic variety. I don't get a red flag here. And so it could be what Christina often calls in a synergy chart, stick-to-itiveness. Okay, an ability for two people to come together, and because they have good love synergy, they want to work it out. And pulling apart is so uncomfortable, and they have so much drive to be together, they can work through blocks and obstacles and things like this. So it feels like a lot of positive energy, or it may show up in your astrology as like trine energy. And we see a potential here for you to come together with a lover who maybe wants a relationship built in the same way that you do. So let's just say neither of you want marriage, but you want something long-term. You want to have someone you can confidently build with. Okay, there you go. Say maybe you do want marriage. Okay, they're going to want the same identical thing. So there's really not a lot of discussion and time wasted spent on that. And that's how you know the synergy is really there. There could also be in the first quarter to 2 quarters of the year some change with children. Okay, so if you haven't already established a relationship, again, romantically, we could be taking it up to the next level. But as far as children are concerned, or people that you caretake over, we could see almost like an empty nesting situation, like, you know, detaching more from that. They need less of you. You're moving in a different, more independent direction, I would say. Then we have money increasing at the end of the first quarter. We have this happening again between the second and the third quarter. And so there seems to be some opportunity for business advancement, career advancement, better contracts keep coming up with you. So contracts are going to be a big thing. This could also spill over into areas outside of like career, into things like investments. But I was also going to say legal issues. So for those of you who've been dealing with legal issues, we could see a lot of this ruling in your favor. We could also see you ducking under the radar if there's something that has not been leaning in your favor, you know, almost like a settlement type of an idea. You know, it could work out for you in that way as well. And it looks like you're spending more time between the third quarter and the fourth quarter of the year, but especially in the beginning of the fourth quarter, you're really looking at investing in anything shared. So you may see a lot of number 2s. Okay. The number 2 is about teamwork. It's about soulmate connections, but it's also about working in groups. And you may have some offers that come into you where people want you to partner up with them, some great investment opportunities. And again, if you guys want to solidify this relationship from earlier, if it's new, we could be talking about cohabitation, merging of finances, engagement, marriage, okay, things like this at the end of the year. Looks good.
Okay. And I see, yeah, like, so for Cancers, Pluto is moving into their 8th house. So that definitely like change ups in sharing of resources possible. With Cancer, you know, there could be, like I know you were saying, there might be relationship stuff. You know, you're looking at how you're going to share your resources and maybe merge them together, and purging anything that, you know, no longer serves. When Pluto moves into the 8th, sometimes you have to watch your health a little bit, just because like it will literally like purge your body stuff too, because the 8th house is like, you know, it's like it's just everything can kind of come up out of your body with Pluto in the 8th house. So purging, you know, just know that like it's part of the whole process. But Pluto will rebuild your wealth as well. So if you are looking to invest, you know, it's almost like you have to start from scratch almost, but it's like you gotta figure out a new way to like start building the wealth. Any kind of like grants, loans, saved money that you have, things like that. You want to get those moving in some kind of different way, your money like working for you in a different way. As far as, so the eclipses are going to be the 4th house and the 10th house. So we're talking about, we're talking about status. We're talking about family. So those two areas are, maybe like leaving behind family traumas or family curses or just old ways you used to do things, like old traditions, and just kind of moving into new, new ways of doing things and taking over, and maybe just doing it in a new way, like in fresh. Mercury is going to retrograde for Cancers in the 2nd house, so it's going to be your self-esteem, but also your the way you earn money. And at the end of the year, that's where Mars retrograde will be too. So you have to start looking at how you make your money and the actions that you're taking there, and maybe kind of like review that, how you're communicating that. Also to 6th house, again, your day-to-day life, your health. You want to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. You're communicating anything that, any kind of health issues that you have, you're communicating those well. And also the 10th house, Mercury will retrograde there, and that will be your status, how you are, and Cancers, you tend to kind of close up. This is going to be really more about you kind of opening up and communicating what you need to communicate, coming out of the shell a little bit. When we look at money and prosperity of especially of the Jupiter-Uranus combination, that happens in the 11th house. So when we talk about the 11th house, we do talk about friends and groups that you belong to, but also this can be gains from how you make your living. So, really looking at those things this year. How am I making my living? What are my gains? How can how can that work for me better? And then Jupiter is going to move into the 8th house. So that's going to be, good for connecting with spirit. It's gonna be a good behind the scenes type of energy where maybe your subconscious is going to be a little bit more positive than it had been. You're going to kind of be a little more hopeful in your thought processes. Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of you Cancers, but we can use it. I can use it. I'll take it. Okay. Anything that helps. Yeah, there's been some stinking thinking. How do you not, though? That's our problem, though. We see and we feel a little too clearly sometimes, I think, what's going on around us. All right. I love that. Absolutely. And I think it's interesting you mentioned the health, because I cut myself off because I didn't want to, start going over on my time, but I was feeling that with the health as well. Is there any chance that's coming up between the 3rd quarter going into the 4th quarter, or is that just sort of all year we need to be careful with health because we're detoxing?
Yeah, I would say that's going to be like an all year thing.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, like it Pluto will move out for a little while, but it'll move back in. So it'll kind of be an adjustment.
Okay. We'll be giving you guys updates throughout the year. Christina and I do regular shows if there's any major planetary movements going on. All right. Thank you. So there's Cancer. I do want to announce, because we're having some trouble with our screen, you guys can submit your $10 question. I read and Christina reads, giving you an answer. So you can do that on PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or YouTube. And don't forget that when you make your payment, you need to submit your question at that time. Also, if you're on Instagram or TikTok, Jill, our beautiful producer, is popping this information up repeatedly. So you can just grab what I just said from the comments section. All right. Are we ready to move into Leo?
Yes.
Christina's sign. All right. Leo to the core. All right. So I got to pull out of this again, pull my personal out of it. Let's see. Leo 2024. What do I see coming up for you guys? I see the first 2 quarters a rush of movement that is the equivalent of you putting energy in. In this case, it is you putting money in, you putting resources in, you putting prosperity in, and the payout may seem a little bit quiet the 3rd quarter where you're kind of catching your breath, but it really increases toward the end of the year. So that 4th quarter, we're going up, up, up. And so there's some nice karmic resources that you can utilize if you're looking at new investments, if you're looking toward the end of the year at doing something like relocation, investing in something you have not been able to yet, bringing back something you've been wanting for a long time. Love looks pretty quiet the first quarter of the year, but the whole middle bit of the year, there could be some changes in relationship dynamics where you're feeling as though the best course of action to take is just to not focus on anyone else, right? Kids, family, a lover, whatever. I'm not going to focus on anyone else. I'm just going to put the attention back on myself. This is the best thing that you can do for your constantly changing relationship dynamics. Now, a lot of these relationships are changing because they have growth opportunity. Some of them are changing because they are sort of dying out, fizzling out, and it's ultimately not going to have much to do with you. It's going to have a lot to do with them and the changes that the other person is going through. So that's probably why it's wisest just to stay in your own energy. I think that the third quarter, you are really finding yourself on stage. There could also be some type of like a trip, a vacation, some way that you're choosing to really invest in yourself. This could also be with your health, an increase with health, or, investing in the way that you look in a significant way. At the end of it's almost like that second quarter going into the third quarter, and then the third quarter going into the fourth quarter, we see big payout for that. But I think that you guys are focusing a lot during that time, let's just say the whole third quarter, on how you're being seen and heard. And so the universe is responding to you in a very different way. And the people are noticing that you have something of great value. And so you're getting a lot of attention. So anybody who's looking to do anything in teaching, leadership, communications, publishing, social media, getting a raise, getting a promotion, that would be the best time for you to grab at it, probably in that second quarter going into the third. And you'll have it. Looks good.
Okay. And then, Leos have Pluto going into their 7th house. So that is, quite the change up in relationships. So, this could be significant partners, your significant other, and can also just be friendships, people that you have contracts with. That can all be changing up as well, because Pluto might purge who's not important there, but yet like the people who are important there will be sticking around. And that, of course, whenever we look at a Pluto opposition, or whenever we look at a Pluto, we always want to go to the opposite house. So it's going to be, how are you reacting in relation to someone else? That's going to be like kind of the focus. But also to watch your health when Pluto goes into the 7th house, because it is opposite your ascendant. So Leos just want to be I would say just be careful. Maybe it'll be in your sign for 20 years, but when it gets close to your ascendant, opposite your descendant, you really need to watch your health. And Mars retrograde for us Leos, going to be 9th house, 1st house, and 5th house. So again, we're talking about relationships, also with children as well. So how are we communicating with children? How are we communicating with, our significant other, romantic partners? Also our creative projects as well, things that we do for, pleasure, but we could be earning money from as well. The 9th house, Mercury retrogrades, thinking about publishing, thinking about philosophies, thinking about the actions that you take in those areas. Also, Mercury retrograde, and then at the very end of the year, Mars retrogrades in the 1st house. So that's definitely rethinking how we are maybe seen by the public. Like, that could be something we could be taking an action on, something about ourselves, kind of like what Reverend Ivy was saying. But the Jupiter-Uranus combination that is fortunate in the sky around April 20th, that takes place in the 10th house for us, so our career, our status. So it does seem fortunate there. And then Jupiter is going to move into the 11th house, and we're talking about gains from how you make a living. So, and also groups that you belong to, how you're seen in the public or how you're seen on social media. So that could have a boost as well. Your income could possibly get a boost. That's what I got for Leo.
Yay. All right, Leos, enjoy. All right, let's move into Virgo. Virgos, sun, moon, or rising. What do I see for you in 2024? You got to shake some bad habits loose. I don't know what the holdup is, but it seems like you have dug your claws into possibly some relationship dynamics, and also your relationship to the way that you think about your own self-worth, which does directly affect your resources, your ability to make money, your ability to work with others. You got to let go of some of that. So I get this energy of having to go backward before we go forward with you Virgos. And I think that what you're really trying to do in the beginning of the year is shed the old, almost like a lizard, skin, and coming out like this, almost like a chameleon, looks like it's brand new colors. And it's really blending in better with the environment, because you've really been sticking out like a sore thumb, like this person doesn't fit, or these ideas do not fit, or the way I think, the way I feel does not fit, this relationship doesn't fit, this job doesn't fit. Why does nothing fit? So if you guys have been going through a period of frustration, I can understand why. But this is really a growth spurt, and it's going to have to happen because you will it to happen. It's not just going to fall in your lap. So make sure you're letting go of the old, you're moving into the new, and you're being willing to think out of the box and almost like a brand new baby in the world. Okay. Think of yourself. The cat's playing with her toy now. It's going to distract me. But think of yourself as being full of possibility, and that the world is sort of your oyster. You could recreate. I also think that the second quarter into the third quarter, you may find yourself with some negotiations, whether it be in business contracts or it be in investment opportunities where maybe it's not exactly what you wanted. Let's just use the example of getting a house, and you're like, well, this isn't enough, or this is not what I wanted, or this was not the original plan. I am under the impression that you should be willing to compromise a bit between that second quarter going into the third quarter, so that you can actually use it as leverage to get ahead. All right. So sometimes it's not such a bad thing to negotiate, and don't take it so personally. It's not a hit against who you are or your value or your worth. It's simply strategic to use it, okay, for something bigger and better. And that's going to come through, if you choose to do this, more toward the end of the year. Now, the end of the year, more like the fourth quarter, third quarter going into the fourth quarter, I see you pulling down what appears to be a ladder. We would say this is symbolic of a ladder of success or an opportunity to move up to the next level. So you may be working pretty hard throughout the year and not really feeling like you've reached the point that you want to be at until the end of the year. And that's really going to take you on through 2025. And then we see a peak again in 2026. I think the most important thing for you to also remember the entire year, but especially the second and the third quarter, is to protect your health, your mental health, especially, which is directly in correlation with your emotional health. Do that shadow work. This may be a great year to get therapy. Make sure you're staying well balanced, and don't eat garbage.
That was a good one. That really followed the astrology.
Interesting.
It was so Pluto will be moving into their sixth house. So definitely like some maybe like a work disruption, or like there are just changes in the work environment, and needing to see what's important and what's not important, and focusing on what is important, like getting rid of the extraneous in the work area. And Mercury is retrograde in their fourth house, so home. They have to think about how they're handling the home. Also, the eighth house, though, is kind of what you were talking about, I think, like investments, things like that. Like investing in a house or something. Maybe that's not originally what, was meant to be, but yet they have to rethink that whole situation, and how you're handling your wealth, too. you want to look because it's in the home area, it's in the 8th house. So we're talking about like, maybe refinancing or something like that. I don't know, but like definitely looking at those areas. And also Mercury retrograde in the 12th house too. So, how you connect with spirit, what's going on in a subconscious level. Anytime Mercury's retrograde in the 8th house, good time for therapy, but also Mercury retrograding in the 12th house, and Mars also retrograding at the end of the year, might want to make you review how you think subconsciously and maybe change around those thoughts a little bit. As far as the Jupiter-Uranus combination, that is going to be, hopefully beneficial for everyone. That's going to be in the 9th house. So you are looking at maybe a travel opportunity, but maybe in a higher education setting, something prosperous there. It could be possibly, it could be good news for a court case, something like that. This all happens around April 20th. And then Jupiter is going to move into the 10th house, which means your status is going to expand. But Pluto still in that 6th house is saying, yes, you can expand, but you have to really kind of cut it to what's important in order for you to prosper. And the eclipses are taking place in the 1st house and the and the 8th house, 2nd house and the 8th house. So, that's going to be some money changes, I think, like, some self-esteem changes, some money changes, definitely not relying on other people, making sure that, you are the boss of your own money. And prosperity.
Yes. All right, Virgos, have a great year. Taking that power back. All right, are we ready to move on to Libra?
Yeah, and I don't know if I said it. Virgo should probably just make sure they watch their health a little bit, their health, and maybe redo their day-to-days, their health routines.
Yeah, I'm seeing that too. Like, you got to get balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's not such a big deal, and sometimes it's absolutely critical. Like, it's
I think it will be.
100% for you guys. All right, but very doable. All right, we're ready to move on to Libra.
Mm-hmm.
Libras 2024 sun, moon, or rising Libras. What do I see for you? I see the money raining down. I also see it going out. So little even Steven activity going on here, especially in the 2nd quarter going into the 3rd quarter. You could find that whether you're getting like big business opportunities, contracts, your work is becoming very lucrative. Maybe you invested in something and it's sort of exploding. You also have opportunities to invest in something else. And for some of you, it may feel very much not like an opportunity, but like a requirement. It's all in the way you see it. It's in the way you view it. So I would highly recommend that you carry on an attitude of, instead of like, woe is me, or I'm irritated, or this is, bumming me out, see it as exactly what I said, an opportunity for expansion. And so money coming in is nothing more than a resource to be used as leverage to create other things. And so we don't hoard. And we don't throw a temper tantrum when we get something and then we see that we have to immediately not lose it, okay, but we are going to put it somewhere else. And I think that having the right attitude is really going to be the biggest test, because you're letting go of some karmic lessons. And the universe is providing you with this great possibility for expansion, where you can see yourself as being more fluid. You're seeing yourself more as the resource. You're, instead of looking out to others, contracts, banks, institutions, employers, spouses, whatever, instead of looking outward to the world for the resources, you're, through this change and transition, seeing yourself as the creator, yourself as the resource. What in me is untapped? How can I start from scratch and do it over and over and over again and create a masterpiece if I choose to, or if I have to. I like that for you a lot because, again, when we have karmic payout for mastering a certain skill like this, and this is a master skill, that's going to last you the rest of your life. So we're talking about long-term prosperity through this change and transition. What we also see is that same attitude of like, I'm way up here, and then all of a sudden I feel shaky and way down here. You could also be feeling that with relationships in between the third and the fourth quarter of the year. So whereas relationship dynamics from marital to just, you know, basic like love to family dynamics to work contracts with other people, even contracts with like banks and institutions and things like this, or where you've been investing stocks and whatnot, where you may have felt like things were very consistent. You understood what they were and you understood because of that exactly where they were going. You may start to feel at that time like there's some type of shift and you simply don't know. This may rattle you to the core. And I want to say again, this is not a year to allow yourself to be rattled to the core. It's more a year to look at, why do I feel that way? Why do I think that way? Why do I let myself become obsessed with these thoughts of negativity when there's some change going on? Am I not confident in my own self? And that includes relationships. And while we don't always want to admit this, you know, relationships are going to change and evolve, hopefully. And if they aren't, you will, and you have to. So you have to be dedicated to yourself and allow for that growth to reach its full point to fruition, probably more in the fourth quarter of the year. And we'll see where those relationships land. Okay. Don't center anyone else but yourself during that time. Communication is also key. Okay. So speak clearly about who you are, what it is that you expect, and what you want. Christina?
Yeah, I see a lot of change for Libra, mainly in relationships, status, everything really. And I think that Libras are trying, you know, you have to really leave behind how you have dealt with relationships before, because you're on a new track. And it has to be less people pleasing, more, you know, more you taking charge. I think that Pluto is going to move into your fifth, so that's going to be huge. Some people are going to get married, some people are going to have kids, some people are going to move in together. Like, it's going to be you know, it's going to be a big shift, I think, for Libras as far as romance goes. And we also have, in April 20th, we have that beautiful Jupiter Uranus in Taurus, and that's going to be in your 8th house. So that's prosperity from joining together. So if Libras are joining together, they're going to probably be prosperous. And I see when Jupiter moves into Gemini, that's going to be, you know, like adventuring. So, you know, so whatever monies that you have together, whatever you're putting together, you're putting your money together, you're putting your life together, your intimacy together. You will enjoy the adventures that come from it as well. Really good for like winning a court case, something like that. Mercury is retrograde this year for you in your relationships and contracts. So you're redoing relationships and contracts. Also, 3rd house, which has to do with communicating with siblings, cousins, neighbors. Also, any social media kind of stuff, any kind of like skills. You want to be looking at that again. I'm feeling like contracts are a big deal. And also, Mercury retrogrades in your 11th. So you want to look at the social circle you're in. You also want to look at the gains that you're making from your job. You want to look at how your social media presence is. Those are all areas of review for you. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus says hello and happy new year to everyone. Okay, come on. They are going just bonkers today. All right, awesome. Libra, have a great year. Scorpios, my favorite. Okay, Scorpios, what is coming up for you? Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising in 2024. It's like, what is that saying? In like a lion, out like a lamb, or something like that, or in like a lamb, out like a lion. I don't know, whatever. But it's like a weather. It's like a reference to the weather. Anyways, I see it like in like a lion, out like a lamb. And so I think what's really going to be going on for you guys, the first 2 quarters of the year are going to bring a lot of opportunity, a lot of growth, a lot of flow, potential for advancement. Some of you may be leaving a job, starting a brand new job. Some of you may be completing something like a certification, an education, leveling up a new position, okay, launching a business, whatever, starting something brand new, being able to really get your hands dirty. And relationship may also become a big theme. And while I see you wanting to entertain this, I also have part of you saying, my higher mind just doesn't want to pay attention to this right now, or this is not something I want to be investing in right now. And I think the word I want to use here is priorities. Okay. So priorities, Scorpio. You may have to break out of your old systems or habits or the way you feel emotionally about things. Well, I want to entertain this, but are you supposed to be entertaining this? So it's a question of what you know psychically and what your higher mind in the universe is trying to encourage you to entertain for the first 2 quarters of the year. So it could feel like there's a whole heck of a lot going on. With relationships, you could be coming out of that second quarter feeling like, I don't know, there wasn't a ton of advancement there. Maybe things don't feel very passionate or fiery. Maybe for some of you, you have found a normal, stable relationship and you're having to ask, is this all there is? Is stability enough? And so there's a lot of questioning going on between that second and third quarter. And I think that it's also into the beginning of the third quarter where the money really gets right. So if you want to have a nice trajectory on where things are going, you want to understand how you could use some of your resources, including connections and networking, as leverage to get to the next level. You're going to be able to do that more toward the end of the year and the beginning of 2025. And that's going to push you forward for the next few years even. So I like this for you a lot. I also think that if there are any changes, I saw down by the river, living in a van down by the river. I don't think you're going to get stuck in a shed, a little home, or, not that there's anything wrong with living in a van down by the river, but I don't think that's really going to be your story toward the end of the year. But I do see some potential for residency change, or if you've been looking at investing in real estate, any type of relocation. This could also be with where you work, but mostly it is home. I think you're going to find a place where you really feel at home. And even if it isn't your ideal, it fits really nicely. And so some beautiful energy going on there. I just think we need to sometimes be realistic, okay, about where things are, not necessarily saying give up goals, but just because of the environment around us. At this point, probably we're talking economy. Okay, we'll see. Looks good.
Yeah, I see. So for the signs that we have that are square or opposite Pluto moving into Aquarius, and one of them is Scorpio. So Scorpio is actually square to Pluto moving into Aquarius. So that is a stressful, we had Taurus and Leo. We already talked about them, but we have Scorpio and we have Aquarius coming up too that are making stressful aspects to that new placement of Pluto. So I do see this as a struggle in the family sector. So whether it's like, I know like a Scorpio that just had a baby, for instance, you know what I mean? There's a lot of stuff going on and in the home, there's a lot of tension and, and things too. When we see squares, we are motivated to make a move. So some Scorpios can be moving. Some Scorpios, just, have to go out on their own. Some, like you said, the van down by the river, like there just has to be like a change of scenery and it's going to be like pushed. Yeah. So whatever that means for you, but you have to somehow get out of what was going on at home before. And you have to sort of make, I don't know, doesn't look easy at all to me. It looks, kind of stressed, but you wouldn't do anything to change if you didn't stress about it. Right. So you just want to, look at your home situation in relation to your work situation. How's that work-life balance, and what are you going to have to do to change that home situation? When we look at the eclipses, we are looking at the 12th house and the 6th house. So again, we're talking about day-to-day routine changing. We're talking about, maybe your health, you're rethinking, because Mercury is also going to, so that could be a change in job as well, or your day-to-day routine. Maybe, you're staying home with a baby, or you're doing something, but you're kind of changing the way that you're doing that day-to-day routine, either health-wise or work-wise. Mercury retrograde in the 10th house and in the 2nd house, your status and how you're making money. So these things are changing within you. You're trying to figure them out. You're trying to make moves. Also, too, the Jupiter-Uranus combination, the wealth combination that's happening, is actually happening in a place of the chart for you that has to do with relationships. So this could be really good news for your partner. Sometimes when it's in this area, it means like, your partner can go up and, have a stroke of luck or something like that. Their income could increase. You could have an opportunity for a really good contract now. Maybe you meet a business partner, or for the Scorpios that are single, maybe even, a romantic partner as well. Somebody, that is beneficial and does seem, like a really good opportunity for you. And then Jupiter moves into the 8th house in May, and that really looks good for joint finances, or for like any kind of, grants or money, like stocks, things like that. So, there might be a little bit of a boost there. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, the feeling I'm getting for Scorpio more toward the end of the year is almost like sometimes we have change and we think we don't want it, but it is undeniable that when you are done with that change and you've started with the new process, you feel right at home. And you feel amazing, like a peace, like an inner, still small voice of peace that you're in the right place.
And Scorpios are pretty good at knowing when they have to transform. So, they'll be feeling that.
Beautiful. All right. Very cool. Scorpios, have a great 2024. All right. Let's move on. Again, we are taking all of the questions and comments at the end. So if you have not already submitted your $10 question, the directions on how you could do that, Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, or here on YouTube at Ask Ivy, you could do it all in one place. That's coming up in the comments section. And don't forget that wherever you make your payment, include your question. Okay. So Jill, my beautiful producer, doesn't have to kind of hunt you down in the comment section. All right. So let's go ahead and move on to Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising 2024. I feel like this is a time for you to really take good care of yourself. There's a lot of maternal energy coming in here with you, a lot of grandmothers, a lot of aunties, a lot of female, elders and chiefs and ancestors coming in, making sure that you are around the clock. So this is also happening in your dreams, making sure that you are focusing your eyes on what's really important. And what's really important for the first 2 quarters of the year is processing. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. If there's anything you've been avoiding, work change, relationship dynamics that aren't working out, the way you live your life, the way you think, whatever it is, a lack of spiritual development or a blocked up energy where we need to be doing some shadow work and processing. Sometimes some of you just seem to need to mourn the loss of something that didn't work out, or maybe you had changes in life. You're like, well, this isn't what I thought it was going to look like. Oh, well, okay, we've recognized it. Now what? Okay. Let's get on with it. Let's get on to the next step in life. So there's this whole process of female energy coming in and not only protecting you, but, guiding you and uplifting your energy to help you to focus more on being centered. So less time mentally in the past, less time worried about the future, more just being steady in the present. And so the direction on what is to come next and how to move fluidly through this transition is going to be heard more easily when you're doing that. Again, could be a great time for therapy, but I wouldn't deal too much again with mentally processing things. Okay. Everything in balance. Now, there's also some opportunity for you to play more. So for those of you who are in any type of creative field, or if you've just been wanting to get more involved in your work, in your day-to-day life, being more creative, or really passionately enjoying what it is that you do with your work, your career, your side hustle, your hobby, whatever it is, especially between the end of the first quarter going into the second quarter, you're going to have more opportunity to do that. So being seen, being heard, being published, putting yourself out there. This would be the best time for you to create that new studio. Okay. Whatever it is that you want to work with and create. And it will be, profitable for you in energetic ways, but also pretty lucrative, especially between the third and the fourth quarter of the year. So I like this. Now, around the second quarter, possibly going into the third for many of you too, what we're seeing is a lot of networking picking up and soul tribe members coming in. So we could see an increase in relationship dynamics. For some of you, love, yes. But for others, it's more like friendships that are soulmate connections. So some of you may be blurring that line with a friend. That's fine. But I think that we need to understand how important these new relationships, including these acquaintances that are nothing more than like business opportunities, how important and valuable these relationships are. And we really want to honor them. Make sure you're bringing your A game and make sure that you are showing gratitude. I want to say the theme for you this year is an attitude of gratitude, resilience, almost like Phoenix from the ashes, and a willingness to create change, because the universe is backing you in it. So no better time than the present. The last 2 quarters of the year, money is looking really good for you as well. And there may be some investment opportunities that come in that nobody else, I heard hush, hush, nobody else knows about these. It's almost like playing chess, right? Or it's like keeping your cards close to your vest, and we take it all. Okay. So keep your eyes and ears open around that time. Christina?
Yeah, and I see that kind of fits in the Mercury retrogrades for Sagittarius, first house, how you're communicating with others, ninth house, publishing, also any kind of, any kind of legal matters or philosophies that, maybe you're rethinking about your faith, or you're rethinking these things. Fifth house as well, which is, your creative projects, your side hustles, you're rethinking these and maybe even like repackaging or something. I don't know, but it's almost like, you have to kind of redo any creative projects or side hustles. Maybe even, looking at your romantic partnerships, as far as, or children that you are with, and you're relooking at how you're communicating with that to better, to better serve you. I think that groups of people are falling away, but I feel like friends are coming in that are important. So it's almost like the acquaintances have to go, and you have to kind of move more towards the friendships that you have, like the closer friendships that you have. Pluto moving into that third house really does shake up your neighborhood or your skills. It's going to put a focus on you learning something. You're either learning or you're focusing on like siblings, cousins, neighbors in the neighborhood, or you're doing some kind of social media that, like TikTok would fall here, but there's like some kind of change up there that's going to be skill wise and neighborhood wise and even sibling wise too. So something could be going on with your siblings. And then in April, we have that Jupiter Uranus. That is actually happening in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your daily work and your daily health. So possibly feeling, maybe feeling better, or it could be also something like, you're getting more business. You're getting more, more business coming in. There's more, I don't know, I don't want to say patients, I want to say clients, or, you're seeing more people. Your word is getting out there, and then maybe that might even like lead into a contract with someone or another business partner once Jupiter goes into, your seventh house in May. And it also looks good, really good for like dating or love, or like, romantic partnerships too. You are, like if you are in a relationship, it will probably seem nicer. If you are looking, then that might be a good time to, kind of get out and about in the neighborhood. Maybe a little bit of social media, nothing too crazy. And it looks like it'll be profitable. It will be good for you.
I love that. All right. Awesome. Sagittarius have a great 2024. All right, Christina, last three. Here we go. Here we go. If you guys haven't already done so, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, drop a comment of any kind. It helps me out in the algorithm. And feel free to submit your $10 questions now. We'll be taking them at the end, as well as any comments. Okay, let's get into Capricorn. All right. Capricorn, sun, moon, or rising. What do I see for you in 2024? I feel like this is a good time for you to keep your mouth shut and your eyes open. This is especially at the end of the second quarter going into the third quarter. So you may be attracting a lot of love partners. You may also be attracting through relationships people who like want something from you. Is it a crime that people come in and want something from you? No, that's networking. I mean, that's potential. That's what humans are supposed to do. However, I do feel that your old ways need to be dying off once and for all. And the universe is not playing with you this year. So the universe isn't going to ask if you've learned again and do you understand? No, it is either that you know your worth and you know that with people, you are to pull back, detach, and study them and make sure that they are up to your standard before you invest, or you're going to fail this test. And I don't think the rest of the year will be very comfortable for you if you do that. So you're really going to want to nail that marking point right about there. Some good ways to do this is just to be more meditative in life, meaning mindful. Okay, not deep states of meditation per se, but just being mindful. One of the ways you can be mindful on a daily basis is to interact with people less and listen in the right side of your brain more. You can be out and about with others, but you can also be sort of detached and in your own energy instead of out there embedded in the world. So it's sort of like saying, be less absorbent and be more observant. I think that you have some big opportunities, quite huge, really, in the middle of the year where you could have a big opportunity to invest in a really nice piece of real estate or a business or get involved in a contract that really levels you up. This could take you, if you work in anything like, the media in any way, this could take you up and make you seen officially and in a way that you cannot fall back down. So the trajectory is really nice. You are in a stable position of power, almost like getting to the top of a mountain, okay, after that point. And so we see a lot of opportunity coming after that in contracts and additional networking for the remainder of the year. So I think that the big focus for you really needs to be on remaining centered, focusing on yourself, your healing, your mental health, your development, even your spiritual development, the first 2 quarters of the year. And the remainder of the year is almost like a rocket that took off very fast. It could feel chaotic to a degree, so stay balanced. But these are all major prosperity points that are significant, I want to say, even within your life contracts. I feel like it's playing into the next 5 years for them. Like, I almost want to say to them that this is like a pivotal year, and like, don't choke, don't fail by like getting stuck in your old patterns and ways that you need to change, because this is big.
Yeah, I see that how it could be frustrating for Capricorn. Pluto is going to move into the second house of how they earn their income. So maybe changes with that, self-esteem issues. And the opposite is the eighth house. So, we're going to have like a Mars retrograde at the end of the year there. We're going to have Mercury retrograding there. So, thinking about how you earn money and how you invest your money, and maybe some frustrations there as well. It's going to be, it looks like an adjustment to me. Mercury's also retrograding in the fourth house, which brings me back to how you said like investing in a house or something like that. That does seem to be where they're supposed to be focused into the home, the roots, the house, maybe even, buying and selling houses, something like that. But there does seem to be a focus there with the home area. Also, too, we have the Jupiter-Uranus combination that, it is profitable for everybody in some way. It actually does fall into their house of having children. So if they want to have a child, good time to do that. And Jupiter Uranus can be all kinds of, surprises, like, oh, surprise twins, not really one baby, but two, so, your fertility could take you by surprise there. And also too, you don't want to bet the farm, but like if you play any betting or anything like that, you know what I mean? Like I said, don't bet the farm, but buy that lottery ticket or spend that couple dollars, as long as it's just a couple dollars, might have a little bit of luck. Jupiter is going to go into, that's around April 20th, by the way, for Capricorns. And then in May, Jupiter is going to go into the sixth house. So that might bring like more prosperity, or like, a bigger day of work. Like, you might feel a little bit better. Your health might be doing a little bit better. Your work might seem like it's really picking up, but beneficial, maybe bringing in some more money. But I would say with Capricorn, there's a lot of adjustments here to be made that are sort of, building. So you have to really think about the building aspect of it.
Time of building. 100%. Okay. Love it. So good luck, Capricorns. Have a wonderful 2024. All right. We're getting down to the last two signs. Here we go for Aquarius. So Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising. What am I getting for you in 2024? I feel you really trying to dig and harvest some new goals, opportunities, some payout for yourself. And some of it just feels like exploration, new adventure. I'm not really sure what I'm going to dig out of this earth. But there is definitely harvest in there to be had. Now that's coming up more in the middle bit of the year. So between the second quarter going into the third, that would be a good time for you to harvest your crops in life. That would be a good time for you to ask for a raise. That would be a good time for you to launch a new project. That would be a good time for you to be open to anything that you've been asking for from the universe. So if you have like a vision board, a manifestation list, list of goals, or you even want like a new relationship, whatever it is, that's the time for you. And I think it has a lot to do with the positive attitude and energy that you're bringing. So it increases your manifestation power, and it activates your law of attraction to bring toward you what is of value. I also think that those of you who are looking to do something new with your money, with your career, with your resources, with your investments, going into that third quarter could be a good time for you to do that. Now, even if you don't see immediate payout, that's really when you're supposed to be like wetting the palate. That's when you're supposed to be doing the research. That's when you're supposed to be having the right conversations with the right people. And it will eventually play out, even if for some of you it takes about 5 months. But what we're seeing there is like a diamond in the rough type of a situation. And so long-term investment, long-term prosperity coming in. Some of you may be releasing in the beginning, the first quarter of the year, in particular, you may feel like it's a quiet time. You may feel like your mediumship is increasing, like you're having more prophetic dreaming, like you're becoming more psychic and empathic, and that you're having more visits also from like the grandparents, the elders, your parents, especially if they're deceased. But I would pay attention to your dreams the first quarter of the year, especially. Make sure you're jotting everything down, because a lot of this, again, is prophecy, or you need to be paying attention to the symbology. And I think some of it may also look like, a house burning down, which can be uncomfortable to dream about. But what we're really talking about is letting go of the old and getting ready for the new. And this may be coming out physically for you. So I can't prescribe or diagnose, but it does feel like health is going to be a major focus. We're talking mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, okay, health in all areas. That first quarter. And many of you may also be doing this with relationships. And so you may be saying, like, relationship health is really important to me. I'm prioritizing it like I never have, because when I don't, it affects me negatively. And I'm not doing that anymore. So especially between the first quarter going into the second, we could see a relationship or relationships that are dysfunctional exiting, and better ones coming in, or the ones that are of value needing. And, you should be investing more in those.
Yeah, so Aquarius, I think, has the biggest, obvious change with Pluto going into their signs. That's going to be the major focus for Aquarius. I do see, like, some health changes there. Just paying attention to your health more than probably that you have in the past. Remembering that sometimes you have to purge in order to be healthy. Also too, like with Pluto moving into the first, it's going to be very much about relationships. Where is your power versus their power in relationships? How are you communicating in relationships? Not just, it's definitely significant others, but also relationships that you have in your life, your work relationships, your, relationships with people that you see on a daily basis. What that relationship like? I do see, like, even the Mercury retrograde is going to be the third house, which is communication, the seventh house, communication and action on relationships. Plus, we have the Mars retrograde there. So at the end of the year, so we're really looking at relationships and what your role in relationships is and where your power is. Also Mercury retrograde, the 11th house. So we're looking at our groups and, our gains from groups and our gains from our income as well. You guys are going to make sure that you're looking at that, and you're making sure that everybody around you are the people that should be around you, and anybody else has got to go, because when you have a significant Pluto transit like this, anything extra has to go, just what is meaningful. The lunar eclipses and solar eclipses are going to fall into the 9th and the 3rd. So again, we're talking about, changing beliefs, letting go of beliefs that you once had, philosophies, going to be very big. You're probably kind of not recognize yourself maybe at the end of the year, but especially if your birthday is like January 20th, 21st, 22nd, you're going to be feeling that Pluto like majorly, especially my January 20th people, because that's gonna, it's gonna hit right there. So that should be interesting. I can't wait to hear the experiences. The Jupiter-Uranus combination, the wealth combination, is going to go into the 4th house. So that is actually really good for purchasing a house for an Aquarian. So, or if you are already in your house, maybe, getting some luck or good fortune or good opportunity for in the home, maybe business in the home, You could be doing something in the home beneficial. Then Jupiter is going to move into the 5th house, which has to do with children. So this could be really good for any children that you have. You could just see prosperity there. You could have a child yourself and expand your family, or you could be working on, heavily on a project, a creative project of some kind. And, this energy, decent for gambling, not crazy gambling, like lottery, might be okay around May-ish. So that might work. Maybe May and on if you feel that. That's about it. Aquarius has a lot going on. I'm excited. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm really feeling that residency stuff for them. Love that. All right, very good. Last but certainly not least, my other favorite sign here, Pisces. Okay. Again, if you haven't submitted your questions yet, now would be the time, and we're going to be getting to them as soon as we're done here. Okay. So Jill, as soon as I'm done with Pisces, if you want to pop up any comments, and then we'll get right into the questions. Okay. So Pisces, sun, moon, or rising for 2024. What am I getting for you? A lot of work opportunities coming in, but it's also a lot on your to-do list. So you may feel a little spoiled for choice. So the first 2 quarters of the year, you may be feeling like, oh my God, I want to take everything, or I feel like I'm supposed to, or when something gets put on my path, doesn't that mean I'm supposed to entertain it? No, it doesn't. What is happening here is really a show, a display that the universe is giving you, from work opportunities to educational potential to relationship, goals. I think you're being shown, it's almost like a smorgasbord, a plethora of different scenarios that could or could not work for you. So think of everything the first 2 quarters as like Cinderella's hideous sisters. They wanted that shoe. Just because it was a shoe, that was going to get them all this wealth or, this level of hierarchy. And it did not fit. So we can find that during this time, you're able to do whatever is making you increase your financial, especially prosperity, and what relationships are helping you to increase your energy levels and seem to be of value to you, entertaining relationships with people who want to see you succeed. They're helping you build. It feels well balanced. There are no questions there, no dark cloud hanging over the relationship. The more you're entertaining these situations, the more you can sort of observe everything else that's coming at you as an opportunity, from a calm, cool, and collective space. So all that glitters is not gold, but you want to figure out what is a value for you to add in, who is a value for you to add in to this story based on your ultimate goals. So I want to say this, if you guys don't have a pretty clear understanding and what it is that you want entering the year, you may want to get that straightened out first, because don't forget that the universe responds to whatever you're putting out. So if you're saying, I don't know, or I guess I'll wait and see what happens, well, that's what you're going to get, is nothing or a whole bunch of random things. Know specifically where you want to be in the next few years, what you feel passionate about, what you want to have in your everyday lifestyle, and how you want to feel in your own skin, in your life, in your relationships. What are you excited and passionate about going forward? And that's what you're going to, see coming your way that you can build toward. So I think that there could also be a bit of a transition, probably because of all of this, in the middle of the year where you're going out on your own path. And it feels like an empty road, it feels like a dirt road. So it's, not necessarily hard to walk this new journey. But for you, in some ways, it could feel like a long, dirty journey emotionally, because you're sort of exiting a way of life that you once understood. And you're heading into some new territory, but you don't necessarily know what's at the end of the road for you. And I think this is a time for those of you who are branching off into a brand new career or you're leaving behind an old marriage, or you're, exiting from a social dynamic that really hasn't been working for you. It could feel a little bit like what do we call it? Dark night of the soul, because you're expanding, and this new journey for you requires that you be alone in a lot of ways. But I feel it being very positive for you. So this is a time for you to be with yourself, be with your higher mind, be with spirit, and allow yourself to feel whatever it is that you're feeling. And it looks more toward the end of the year that you're kind of coming out of that, almost like it's a long ago memory, even though it was just a few months ago. So especially between the third quarter going into the fourth, I see you in a position of power. Now, the symbol Spirit's using here is you behind the wheel of a car. And that is across the board a symbol, whether it be dream symbology or it be mediumship. This is a symbol of you not only being in movement forward in your life, but because you're behind the wheel, it's you being in a position of power in the world. But also feeling empowered, even more importantly. Okay. So if you do the hard work throughout the year, especially that middle bit, you're going to be able to enjoy the fruits of that labor at the end of the year. And many of you may have a new title slapped onto you. Many of you may see something like, marriage or a brand new relationship sort of title brought into your life. And, many of you may also be in a brand new atmosphere. So I'm not saying everybody's moving overseas per se, but you could be moving and changing up location pretty dramatically. So residency change.
Yeah, I think we didn't really talk about Saturn because it's kind of in the same place as it was last year, but for Pisces, it's really important because Saturn is still in Pisces. And when Saturn's in your sign, you're really building yourself for the next 28 years. So kind of a big deal. It was a big deal last year. Pisces are probably not real happy right now because of Saturn in there. Saturn does tend to restrict because you're in a building process. So, and it almost seems, when Saturn's in your sign, it almost seems unattainable. But it's meant to be like that because like something good doesn't come out of easy. You know what I mean? Like it has to be hard in order for you. You have to earn it. So I think a lot of Pisces are not real happy right now, but once they do that work, I think that will pay off for them. When we go into next year, when we go into 2025, that's when I think Pisces will start to see the fruits of their labor, but it's going to take a while. And I think that Pluto is going to go into the sign before theirs. And when that happens, that means there's a lot going on underneath. There's a lot going on that you're not even really aware of because it's your subconscious, and it's also your connection to spirit. So there's things happening almost behind the scenes, your subconscious, and these might come out in your dreams. You could have these really, maybe even like disturbing dreams, because you're purging anything that is not in alignment with what you're building. And when I look at we also have our first lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that doesn't happen until September 17th, 2024. But that's going to be a whole another start of a cycle too, of becoming who you are becoming for the next, how many years. And I think, it's a lot for Pisces, but you think about the person that you really have to set yourself up for the next, part of your life, huge part of your life. So this is a very important time for them. Mercury is retrograding 10th house, 3rd house, and 6th house. So definitely a lot to do with your job, probably rethinking your job, rethinking your place in your job, probably rethinking the actions you take in your job. Mars is going to retrograde all the way at the end of 2024 in December. Once again, actions in your job, pay attention to, what you're doing, how you're communicating, are people getting you? It's a lot to do with communicating. for Pisces. And we have the Jupiter-Uranus combination in the 3rd house. So if Pisces are thinking of learning a new skill, that is perfect for that. If they're thinking of going on a short trip, that is also good for that. So right around April 20th is when we get that combination. Could be, like maybe even, I don't know, maybe even a contract. Could be good for your sibling, cousins, neighbors, your whoever's in the neighborhood with you, like the people you contact, that something beneficial could come from that, just people you talk with every day. Then later, Jupiter is going to move into the 4th house in May, and that might be good for your home. Either, you could see yourself moving into a new place, or you could just, see yourself kind of making your place nicer so that, it's more enjoyable for you. Yeah, that's what I see.
We'll have to do some shows on some of these transits.
Absolutely, because it's just
we always do
right now, but a little taste of it,
Okay, very good. So Pisces, have a wonderful 2024. All right, you guys, questions, comments, let's get to them. Diane Britton says, thank you so much to both of you for doing this and the enlightenment that you've provided here. You're so welcome, Diane. We enjoy doing it. And thank you for being here. We appreciate your support so much. All right. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. Any other comments? Okay, so here we go. Let's start getting into it. So I'll do a minute. Christina, you do a minute. So we've got Edgar, first question coming in. Edgar wants to know, I'm a Pisces sun, Sagittarius rising. Can I please get a love prediction for 2024? So psychic mediumship, here's what I'm feeling for you. I feel like you may have more activity the second quarter going into the third quarter with a strong dividing line right down the middle. So there could be something that seems like it's moving forward, and then you feel like not necessarily like it's completely shut off, but more like now going into the third quarter, I am dealing with a brand new set of people. And so you could almost be out with the old and in with the new. Here's a good way of saying it. When it rains, it pours. And sometimes that can work in a really positive way too. So it's like the only thing you need to have 3 dates is one date. You get this one, and then all of a sudden you start attracting these people. So I do wonder if it's something in your stars and the planets for you that makes you really kind of hot, just really like very attractive and magnetizing, especially that third quarter and on. So being spoiled for choice, having a lot of the cats trying to knock over the cameras, having a lot of options coming toward you. I think what's important for you to do right now is to figure out what it is that you really want in a love partnership. If you have any muddled areas where you're not sure, and make sure that as you entertain these people, you're not going just with whoever kind of, gets you excited, because sometimes butterflies can be a sign of instability or a need to break a bad habit. Okay. Peace would be the way to go. All right, Christina.
Yeah, I think that there might be an opportunity with somebody from the past in April, but I'm not sure that that's the best route for you. But I feel like there's going to be someone coming up probably, let's see, April 1st to the 25th-ish. So we're talking that whole month of April. There could be somebody who maybe it was a lost opportunity, and you're just kind of maybe seeing where it goes. Once Jupiter does go into Gemini, though, I think you have better options. So I'm talking like May on forward. So maybe not just yet. I do think that, right now you have to really kind of think about what you want, like Ivy was saying. But I do think that there will be prosperity. I don't know, maybe even a Leo coming in. But I do feel like, I don't know, it feels like it could be and I'm getting like, yeah, it's almost like somebody who like you're talking about your views or your philosophies with, and somehow like you kind of connect on that level, or even like a higher education like level. But it's almost like somebody kind of comes in and this was a love prediction, right?
Yeah.
It definitely does feel like somebody's there. I'm not sure that they're the long term, but it does feel like as we get into, I wasn't breaking the year down in quarters, but I'm thinking like middle of the year, it does seem like it picks up.
That's identical to what I got. I love that.
Oh,
Okay, so this is what's crazy. It's like I'm saying things through psychic mediumship because I'm no astrologer, you know, and then she's got it in the stars. It's written in the planets. It's written in fate. Okay, so like it's crazy to prove it. Like there it is. The question is, what do you do with it? You know. But yeah, no, I see what you're saying too, Christina. I can feel that kind of like fire energy. Yeah, maybe like Sag, Leo, something going on there. Fun. Okay. Enjoy. All right, Edgar, thank you for your question. We're going to move on to another, looks like this is a question from a JR Incon 02. JR Incon 02. Aries Sun. Okay, Aries. Will I get a new job next year? All right, let me see what I'm getting with that. Yeah, I think you will. I think you can. I think if you go after it, it looks like the easiest time to do this is going to be going into the third quarter. And that's not to say there won't be potential for it earlier than that, but it seems like that's when it's picking up speed and ease. So if you push, there could also be conversations happening in that second quarter. And so it could happen, you know, right about that time. Get down, stop. They're scratching. The cats are scratching me. Like I'm going to be covered in blood under this. I know it. So, you know, what I think you really want to be doing is setting up this mentality of what it is that you want. You know, again, you're getting real specific. You're getting precise. Okay. Precision is the word I'm hearing about specifically visualizing and then feeling it in your emotions, doing it like role play in your imagination. What do I want to be doing every day? What do I want that work to look like? You know, and knock it off. And what opportunities do I want to have coming to me? And it's almost like you're manifesting it, you know, you're attracting it to you. But I think, again, the highest likelihood, even without all of that, even if you were to rest on your laurels, which I don't recommend, I think that what's really important is that you also psychically pay attention to when the universe is wanting you to create this change and work with you the most, because it does feel like it's quite written, and it's going to be lucrative for you. But more importantly, I think it's almost like adding a title of accomplishment onto your idea of yourself and what it is that you want to create in the world. So you're fulfilling some of your life contract in this change as well. Christina?
Yeah, so I really had yes, I would love to see you get a job in April. That would be my favorite for you as an Aries. But I also pulled a couple cards for you, and it kind of looks like you're looking, then like, I don't know, middle of the year, you kind of find like what you want. So maybe that is like the April thing. But then like it almost seems like you're frustrated, and you know, like things are going at a slow snail's pace, and there might be somebody that you you know, a mentor or something that you need to look up to, or even like a female mentor that you're going to look up to or something in this new job. But it does feel like, it's funny because I got the second house, and that's the house that the Jupiter Uranus combination is for Aries. So it does look, you know, very promising. Big changes, but like also putting boundaries on how much. Don't kill yourself for a job. In other words, you got to put boundaries on it. I would watch out for like, you know, a boss or like, you know, somebody trying to, I don't know, overpower you. You're going to have to figure out where your power is within that job. But it does feel like there is a job, and it is prosperous.
Beautiful. All right. Love it. All right, we're going to move on to another question here from a Mallory. Mallory is a Taurus. She wants to know, will someone new be entering my life in the new year? Possibly a love interest. Okay, let me see. So what are we getting here for Mallory, love interest? It feels like the end of the year is better for this, and that the second quarter of the year may be very fiery, very dynamic. So, if you have somebody coming in and it's like the sex is great and there's a lot of like banter and conversation, it's almost kind of this addictive energy. And a lot of relationships in general can start that way, where it's like we're talking all day, we're texting all the time, there's just a lot of back and forth. And then it just sort of fizzles out. A lot of that is just, timing. They say, scientifically it takes 3 months for that to just basically die out. And then you see what you're really going to be working with for the long term. Rarely does it mean anything. So I would just enjoy it. It doesn't mean there isn't a reason that this person came in. I'm just not so sure that it's here for the long haul. It's possible, though, that the second and third quarter of the year, you're feeling that there's someone you're talking to and there is a lot of stability. So it could be kind of the polar opposite, where it starts a little bit slower. Maybe this is someone you work with. This is someone in your friendships, or this is someone you're around, and it's not really necessarily like fireworks and we're jumping in the sack together right away. It's like just a very slow grow, but it is a grow. And there is opportunity for it to become like a deeper friendship. There are some conversations that could be taking place, especially I'm seeing November, December, that really allow for a deeper level of intimacy. So emotional exchange is what I'm really talking about there. Maybe problem solving. A lot of people feel very intimate when they can do teamwork with someone else through that type of discussion. And then you could be deciding to make it something more, okay, after that time. So yeah, more as we enter into 2025. Christina?
Yeah, so I'm kind of getting like a person that she either knows of from before, or like there's some kind of like, or like they are like in the picture but not really, you know what I mean, but like she's unaware that they're interested. And whoever this person is like going to bring in kind of a healing from the last, like I see like the, okay, this is healing. And like, I'm also getting the same thing where I'm not 100% convinced that this is like for an forever type of situation, but it does feel like it gets you to the next level. And then you're going to be at a crossroads where you should whether you should move on or not. But it almost feels like that's like way later into the year. And like, like it almost starts in the more in the like first quarter of the year, where in like, that April time, maybe May time too, like you start kind of, deciding, okay, this is very healing for me, but do I want to continue with this, or do I want to move on? That's what it looks like to me. But then Saturn does come up, but like for the 6th house. So it's almost like, I don't know if like you're going to be working a lot and that's going to get involved, or, that's going to get in the way, but it's almost like you have a crossroads. You got to decide if you're going to focus your attention on this and build with this person or not.
Fun. Good luck. Definitely activity. You've got to be feeling it by now. All right. We have another question coming in here from Nicole Whitehead, who says, will my apothecary business be a success this year? I am a Cancer sun, a Capricorn rising, and an Aquarius moon. Okay. Will my apothecary business be successful this year? I feel for you that it will, but I also feel something else coming in. So sometimes we're super focused on something and another opportunity enters, and that opportunity could end up just very quickly sort of taking over and offering you different avenues towards success. And then you may zigzag or regroup or, establish what you had been doing, kind of like marrying both worlds. And so I think that, yes, It will, but so will some other things. And so it's going to be really important that you're willing to entertain, these new avenues. Sometimes when we are hyper focused on something, we can sort of squelch the life right out of it, and it's good to just be fluid. So move along with other opportunities, and then you may see even additional growth in the apothecary. I also just want to say to you, something really important for you to focus on is videos, whether it be like, TikToks, YouTube Reels, whatever it is, like short videos for the most part, I think. But what are you making? Like, how can they be funny? How can they be like little stories? How can they be entertaining? People love watching. I mean, I don't care if it's you collecting a bunch of herbs and breaking them off of the stick and putting them in a jar. People are like, oh my God, that's, there's something that we're so drawn to in regards to spiritual and health medicinal tools, because it's so connected heavily to our past lives that we don't even realize. We can almost hypnotize people with imagery of that, okay, or words and stories and music of that. So make sure you're doing it.
Yeah, I got almost like exactly the same thing just out of tarot cards. It's crazy. And my dice. But looking at the astrology, so the Capricorn rising, so definitely like a good time for this business would be April and May, and beyond that. But also like the thing coming in was interesting because yes, I see like money here, but also like I see like you said something else was coming in. Like look at that, like all these choices come in, like, and that's like the middle of the year, So like all of a sudden like there's these other things.
What card is that?
What's that?
What card is that?
This is the Eight of Cups. Sorry, Seven of Cups. Like there's all these like choices, you know what I mean, that you don't know what they are. So it does feel like something else comes in, but it feels like she bosses up, and takes control of it. But then when I asked the dice, like the dice is talking about money, it's talking about Taurus, money in the home being communicated. So that's what I was going to say. I said, I feel like there's money to be made communicating within the home somehow. And you were saying something about TikToks and things like that. So I really do feel like she's got to sort of like, be a boss bitch for lack of a better word to say, to really capitalize on it, but not to make sure that she doesn't, like get rid of any good ideas, because it does look like there's a lot of creative ideas, because all that's happening in your creative house too, like your creative project house and your work house too. Jupiter goes into. So I would keep an open mind.
Yeah, tell the stories, let the stories be told.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for the hearts. TikTok, see being super active. All right, awesome. So let's move on to another one here from Joni. Joni Olkowski. This birthday is 9/1/64. So what is that? September 1st? Yeah. Mm-hmm. September 1st. Okay. Will I find work in 2024 in the same field? Are there health issues in 2024? All right. So we're doing one question. So let's just pick one. Christina, which do you want to pick for her?
I'll do health issues.
You'll do health. Okay. So we'll do health. So what do we see for Joni Olkowski health in 2024? I think that what we need to focus on here is cleansing. So we're talking about the organs. We're talking about, anything, and I can't prescribe or diagnose, but anything that could look like stones, your filtration system. We're talking about the liver, the pancreas, okay, the organs. And I think this may have a lot to do also with stress levels. And so what came first, the chicken or the egg? And one thing can and does absolutely feed another. And so there's some talk of stress here, mostly if you're carrying it through the back, the neck, and up into the head. We could see that causing some problems with whether it be cortisol levels. This could also be stress levels in the brain, and the way that sometimes stress or negative thinking can interrupt actual productive thought. It can also become a block to intuition. So we're going to want to clear that on out of there. And I think that if you're really focusing on these two areas, the rest of you is going to naturally feel better. Something really important for you to do also is to make sure that you have movement, not just for the sake of like motion meditation, which I speak on regularly, but also for you to just create fluidity in your body, any blocks, toxins, anything also past life that's kind of hanging on, okay, energetically, karmically, through just something simple like walking, okay, every day is going to help you out a lot. Just make sure you're doing enough of it, okay? It's not like a slow roll for 10 minutes here and then I don't do it for 3 weeks. It's every day, 30 to 45 minutes, start getting up those hills. Christina?
Yeah, for me, well, astrologically, Pluto moves into the 6th. So that always signals some kind of health change. And really, it becomes like purging, things like that. But purging anything that doesn't serve, like even getting up and having your coffee, you know what I mean? Like every little move you make in the morning, that's going to have to be a calculated move towards your good health, because if you have not been doing what you're supposed to health-wise, that will come forward and you'll be able to see it. And then this is when you're going to pare it down. You're going to try to figure it out. And then in order for you to be prosperous in your career field, which I do feel like, that is prosperous as well, the health has to be in order and the day-to-day has to be in order. So it kind of looks to me like, I don't know, it almost looks like you need to be with other people, trying to, exercise or like talk with while you're walking or something, just because like it feels like, you're getting advice as you're like, with the other person. You can't do it on your own type of thing. I also feel like there's a mental health component here where you want to get into those subconscious thoughts, and maybe even like, there's might be some darkness there that you have to sort of deal with. Some shadow work that you might have to deal with, and it might come out in your dreams as well. It does feel like I'm getting like, I'm getting 12th house on the dice. So it's like the subconscious thoughts. And I know for Virgo too, like Mars is going to retrograde in the 12th and Mercury is going to retrograde in the 12th. So past traumas, things that, subconscious, the way of thinking, you really have to switch that around, especially when Pluto moves into that house, because you just have to get to what's important, what is important for you to be happy in your health.
Okay, excellent. We're going to move on to another one. So we have from Manny. And so Manny wants to know, what does the year 2024 hold for me just in general? Okay, so Manny, what I'm feeling for you is a need to express yourself. And this may come through some challenges, especially the first 2 quarters of the year. It could also just come from a certain fire in the belly. You're feeling almost like you can't keep your mouth shut. So I wonder what the heck's going on with your astrology. Even if you're not normally that way, it's like, I have got to say this, or I'm going to say this, or you may say it and like you didn't plan on saying it. It just sort of comes out. And so this is an important time for you to express yourself and to do it in a more fluid way, with a bit more ease, and to understand that it's working up to something greater in your life, which is really going to make more sense, probably between the 3rd quarter going into the 4th quarter. And so when you tell a story, when you say something, when you make a statement, know that it didn't just happen accidentally that way. There were people waiting and wanting to hear from you. There was a bigger purpose to that. It needed to be said, almost like, you're starting a fire, you're igniting something, you're getting the ball rolling. Now, some of this is going to be larger scale and more collective and a bigger conversation, and some of it is just very personal and intimate to your own life. But I think that you're going to discover that the more you say and the more action Also, this is about action. Okay. This is also, in your case, about inaction. So, what you feed and what you choose not to feed, especially the first 2 quarters of the year, are really going to set you up for the rest of the year. And it's about your story, ultimately, what you want to be creating. So, it does feel like a creation year for you. In a big way, but it's you like taking the reins. Okay. A horse is a power symbol in general. And so you taking the reins on your life and having an attitude also, and this is the last thing I'll say, and Christina, I'm switching over to you. Almost having an attitude of like, I don't care what other people think. Okay. Being very in your own power is going to be key.
It's so funny. Like you really got like what I got on the tarot
Let me
card.
pause. Let me just stop you for a second. I'm gonna run and use the bathroom. We've been here a while, and I have to collect all these balls I've been throwing around for the cats so that they don't like tip over the cameras. So Christina, you go, and I'm gonna be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I got like basically the same thing. It's almost like there's something you walked away from that you kind of put down, like you're discouraged about. Middle of the year, if you can tell, like there's the horse that Ivy was talking about there. And the fact that it is reversed kind of means that you're kind of unsatisfied with the work. It really doesn't become prosperous until the end of the year. But funny thing is that I'm getting like, and that's what I'm getting here is work frustrations, but you're building something right now. Like you're being held back, but it's almost like you have to build something, and it's in the work area or the health area. It's like the day-to-day, what you do with your day area. But I'm like kind of looking, and I'm thinking that like some kind of new technology is going to be, or something innovative is going to be put there, and that might help you. But there's something new coming in that is going to kind of shake up, but in a good way. And that is when the prosperity picks up. It starts to seem like, okay, I'm coming out of this cycle. Because I do see Saturn here in 6th house. So Saturn is always like restriction, and you just don't really understand why. Maybe the boss is, on your back, or there's like, you're just not winning. You can't please people. That is for a time period, and it does feel like you are released from that, Aquarius, into better times, but not until later in the year.
Okay. Awesome. Problem solved. Okay, so let's move on to another one. We've got Susanna Cruz. Says, hello, I was wondering, what does 2024 have for me? My date of birth is 2/26/85. Thank you. So that's what? February 26th, right? All right. So Susanna, let's see. Okay, what does 2024 have for Susanna? I actually feel a lot of increase in love, and you may have, especially the 3rd quarter, more toward the end, a feeling of resistance to that. Like, I want to be alone. I want more personal space. I'm not interested in this. It doesn't mean it isn't going to happen regardless. So I think that being able, especially the first 3 quarters of the year, to focus a lot on self-development, self-love, self-care, your career, your finances, getting your finances in order, making sure that you redo any contracts that you can. So like renegotiating, moving money around, making sure that your money is being properly invested where it ought to be. I think these are going to be key things to your success. And I think that come, the end of the year, like the next holiday season cycle, you may be feeling very, very much at home in your own skin, loving yourself and your life more than what you ever have, and possibly finding yourself also in the company of love that's very genuine and authentic. Christina?
Yeah, so Susanna, I got that, I got there's some frustrations right now, some inactions, and maybe not even like being able to trust some of your friends, being cautious of that and their actions. I'm just looking at the astrology as well. Yeah, I think like, you might feel like people don't have your best interests at heart and that you really have to kind of go within and you have to do your own stuff. You're building something right now. And you have to figure out what you want to build, like to build your self-esteem as well, because I got second house here. So this might have to do with what you are doing for a living, but you're supposed to be going towards your life purpose. And you're supposed to be kind of bossing up when you do that. I don't see this like you really knowing what this is until the end, but it definitely looks prosperous here. But it's almost like you have to get through this hard time of like, I don't know who to trust. And basically you're really going to try to trust yourself is what you're going to do. But you're a little confused. What actions am I supposed to take? But really you have to go towards life purpose, what you think your life purpose is. And that is where you're going to derive your self-esteem and your leadership stuff from, because I do see you coming out on top. I do see you leading, but it's almost like the frustration in the first, like almost half of the year is very, very frustrating. And really just has to be sort of kind of done on your own.
Amen. All right. Same thing. Absolutely. All right. Very cool. Do we have any other questions coming in? I see a bunch of thank yous. Thank you from Manny. Thank you from Nicole. Sorry, I don't know what I just popped up there because I should not be touching the screen ever. Sorry, Jill. Okay. Are we at time or let's see where we are. My screen appears to be stuck. Okay, we are at time. Awesome. So you guys, this is going to be published. It does take about 24 hours or so on my YouTube channel at Ask Ivy, or it'll go, if Facebook worked, it'll go directly up onto Facebook. And I always make sure I publish it there as well. So you guys could check this out, go back, rewind, listen for each zodiac sign. If you want to book a chart with Christina, I am telling you that I have been booking charts with Christina faithfully for over a decade, for personal charts, for synergy charts, if there's someone really significant that I'm dating and I want to know more about, but also every year an annual work chart. So if you want to know how you can increase your prosperity, talk to her. Christina, where can they book a chart with you again?
The email right below, cpiekarski88@gmail.com. And also I am astrologychick2 on Instagram.
Okay. She's also working at Ivy's Healing Call Center. So that's 7 days a week. So you can go onto my website to book with her there through the call center. And if you want to book a party, a reading, or a psychic fair with me, you can go to Ivy Rivera, psychicmedium.com. We wish you guys a happy 2024. Any last words, Christina?
I would say pace yourself. Pace yourself. It'll be a good year. We have to navigate the changes, be flexible.
Okay. I would say in conclusion that this is a time of great change, and we need to make sure that we continue to do the work and, rejuvenate ourselves as we do that work, because the world is going to, yes, look like a big, bad, scary place. And that's going to be expanding. We have to be realistic about that. But we are also seeing, especially here in America, a lot of financial relief, which can help drastically, especially with our mental and emotional, physical well-being. So we want to roll the good in with the bad. And we want to just remember the bigger picture at all times. We are in a revolutionary time. This is something that we need. This is good. So just continue to do the work and do your healing. All right. Thanks so much, Christina. I love doing this with you always. Thank you, Jill, our beautiful producer. Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you guys next year.
Yes.